On August 27th, 2024, Secrets of the Storm released, and what was supposed to be a great DLC launch for everyone involved was actually horrible for everyone involved. The DLC was a unbalanced and most importantly buggy mess. I'm one of the people who bought Secrets of the Storm launch day, and surprisingly I didn't experience a whole lot of these bugs that people were complaining about, so I can't really talk about the bugs that I experienced personally, but I can talk about the unbalanced side of things. The balance of these items were all over the place, with the range being underpowered, overpowered, useless, or war bonds. When you look at the survivals, they seem to be a bit better in terms of balance, like hey, they didn't do that bad with these. But then it all comes crumbling down and takes a nosedive with Chef. I'm willing to bet all of my money that in the 9 months that I took to actually fix Chef, no one has climbed to Eclipse 8 with him, without looping. If you're even strong enough to do another loop. And then the stages and the music, the only good thing that happened that day. And I'm gonna quickly mention some bugs real quick just so you can actually get the full Secrets of the Storm experience. For one, if you have Warped Echo and Chronic Expansion in your inventory and Mithrix takes them, he becomes invulnerable and soft locks your 1. Lodo's grapple being tied to the frame rate for some reason. If you manage to get an aspect, it would duplicate every single item you picked up into the hundreds of thousands. Halcyon Knight's doing whatever that was. And lastly, the False Sun just being an ass to fight. All of what I mentioned was basically Secrets of the Storm for the past 9 months. The Risk of Rain community was just in turmoil, and the ones responsible for this gearbox, they knew they had to do something fast, otherwise it wouldn't just be hot water they'd be in, but also they would have just ruined an already perfect game before this DLC. And so they revealed a DLC bug fix roadmap, which I don't think any company has ever done, ever. Phase 1 would be working on items, Phase 2 would be working on the False Sun boss, and Phase 3 would be working on the survivals, especially Chef most of all. And they weren't kidding, as on December 10th, 2024, they released the first phase of the roadmap. 3 months after that, on March 4th, 2025, they released Phase 2 of the roadmap. And at the time I'm recording this, May 5th, about a week ago, they released the final phase of the roadmap. Every bit of balancing that the phases have done, every bit of bug fixing that the phases have done, they all culminate to make Secrets of the Storm go from a horrible experience to a playable one. I can actually now recommend this DLC to people because all of the problems that I mentioned earlier with the DLC on launch day, they basically don't exist anymore. There are still some bugs that I still see in this DLC from people, but it's not game-breaking, major, just more on the minor side of bugs. I think most of the reason why Secrets was launched in its half-baked state was more than likely higher-ups at Gearbox forcing its release in the first place. Now, this isn't confirmed at all by any Gearbox employee that this is exactly what happened, but given that the IP is now owned by Gearbox, it's not really hard to make that assumption. They were probably expecting to see results from Risk of Rain as soon as possible. I spent money on this IP, I want my money back. Again, this isn't confirmed by any means, so Gearbox and Take-Two, please put down your snipers. Thank you. But yeah, I think they've learned a lesson with rushing DLCs. And I think after Secrets of the Storm, it's gonna be a couple of months, maybe a bit longer than that before we get any news regarding Risk of Rain's DLCs and updates. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, I'm not gonna play dumb. We all know what happened at PAX East. Risk of Rain 2, The Alloyed Collective. 6 new stages. 2 new survivals, 7 new drones, 7 new enemies, 1 teleporter and 1 final boss, and of course 15 new items. Already? It hasn't even been a week since Secrets of the Storm got completed and we already have news of a new DLC? Not only that, but it's a gameplay trailer of all things. When Secrets was announced, we didn't get a gameplay trailer, it was just a cinematic trailer. The first gameplay trailer that we got of the DLC was the Secrets Survival Showcase almost 9 months later. And with this trailer and the Steam page alone, we were able to see a good majority of stages and enemies in this DLC. For Secrets of the Storm, we only got 3 new enemies, and I'm not counting False Sun because he's a final boss. If I do the same thing with Survivors of the Void and exclude Voidling, then we'd still have 13 new enemies in the game, a bunch of which changing how you actually go about killing them. None of the enemies in sequels really do that besides Halcyon Knight to an extent. While Alloyed Collective's 7 new monsters is still half of Void's 14, it is still a very nice increase that I will happily take. And we're also getting 7 new drones for this DLC. Now, you have to take into consideration with spare drone parts and Captain both existing at the same time. With the main focus of this DLC being about drones, we'll probably see some more items like spare drone parts buffing out drones. They also say on the Steam page that we're getting a final boss that reshapes the endgame, which, ooh, vague. In a comment that one of the community managers made, they say that it's not actually going to reshape any terrain or anything, but compared to any other boss in the game, it's going to be a lot different. I'm not going to lie and say that the False Sun was something new and innovative Gearbox did, because the False Sun is just Mithrix done again. You have your hammer attack that does a bajillion damage, you have your lunar spike attack to close the gap, you have some form of a jump attack, and then you have your special phase 3 only attack. False Sun wasn't really anything too crazy, but for me, he beats Mithrix out by a tiny bit, and he beats Foiling out by a huge margin by default. Will Gearbox be able to make something other than Mithrix in this upcoming DLC? We'll just have to wait and see. And there's still a bit of news that we have about this DLC. After the gameplay trailer released at PAX East, it was revealed that a group of content creators and models of the game were invited to playtest the DLC early, which is actually just awesome. And none of them, from what I've seen, have had them critically talk down on the DLC, with a lot of them saying that they had real good fun with it. Mind you, that despite playing a work-in-progress DLC that's probably in its pre-alpha state, maybe even pre-alpha, the DLC seems to have glowing reviews from everyone who is invited to actually playtest. This also raises the question on how the hell did they get this DLC in a playable state already? They say that they're going to try and release this DLC this year. I have a feeling that it's going to be pushed back to early next year, just because I really don't think they want to risk another incident like sequels again. But hearing about all these good things about the DLC in its current state, honestly, just give it to me now. I just want to make sure that everyone on the Risk of Rain dev team is fine and not crunching out 148 hours a week or anything, because they had a tall order of things that they needed to do. I don't think any dev would have made a roadmap for fixing a DLC, but with Gearbox, they wanted to actually make a good DLC. Not just because they were losing money, but also because they actually love and care for this game. They've been trying so hard to establish a link between the community again, and I actually love whenever companies do this. The fact that we have multiple community managers who are listening in on the community is just so nice. Like, they're doing God's work out here, dude. I am begging you guys, if this DLC is just a point underwhelming from what the community was expecting, please don't harass the community managers. Don't harass anyone on the team. Just be mature, be civil about all of it. And maybe don't call them slurs. I really think that things are looking up for this community again. The community is looking brighter than it once was 9 months ago, and I really hope this passionate dev team over at Gearbox just keeps doing what they're doing for Risk of Rain 2. I think the next DLC will be great and won't be anything like sequels. Far from it, actually. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, then you can leave a like and subscribe. I don't upload too frequently, but it helps you stay tuned. So, yeah. I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there.